I thought my wife was planning me a surprise. Turns out she was planning a new life without me. If someone had told me a year ago that my marriage would end because of a grocery receipt, I would have laughed. There wasn't a single dramatic fight, no screaming, no broken dishes, no obvious signs she was cheating. At least, that's what I believed. Looking back now, the clues were everywhere. I just kept finding reasonable explanations for all of them. My name's Ethan. I'm 34. My wife, Lauren, and I had been married for almost 8 years. No kids, just the two of us and our golden retriever, Cooper. People always described us as the stable couple, the ones who'd probably grow old together. Honestly, I thought so too. Lauren worked as a project manager for a medical software company. I owned a small home renovation business. We weren't rich, but we were comfortable. We'd just started looking at larger houses, talking about having kids. Planning a vacation to Italy the following spring. Nothing felt wrong until one Thursday afternoon. I came home early because one of my jobs got canceled after a permit issue. Lauren's car wasn't in the driveway. No surprise there. She was supposed to be at work. I let Cooper outside, made myself lunch, and noticed a grocery receipt sitting on the kitchen counter. Normally, I would have thrown it away. Instead, something caught my eye. 2 coffees, a blueberry muffin, 1 turkey sandwich, 1 chicken wrap, Tuesday, 1:17 p.m. The problem? Lauren always packed her lunch. Every single day. She actually made fun of people who spent $15 buying lunch. I smiled to myself. Maybe she'd gone out with a coworker. I tossed the receipt into the trash and forgot about it. Or at least, I tried to. That night, while we were eating dinner, I casually asked, "How was work Tuesday?" She didn't even look up. Busy. Didn't really have time to eat. I froze for just a second, then smiled. Oh. She kept eating, no hesitation, no pause, nothing. Maybe she'd forgotten. Maybe the receipt wasn't hers. Maybe. Over the next few weeks, I became really good at saying maybe. Maybe that's why she suddenly started taking phone calls outside. Maybe that's why she changed her phone password after 6 years. Maybe that's why she'd started going into the office on Saturdays. Maybe that's why she smiled at texts she'd never let me see. Every explanation sounded reasonable by itself. Together, they started feeling different. Still, I hated the kind of husband who snooped. Trust mattered to me. If I had to investigate my own wife, was there even a marriage left? So I ignored it. Until Cooper got sick. It happened on a Wednesday. The vet called around noon. I didn't follow them. Looking back, I wish I had. Instead, I drove home, convincing myself there had to be a reasonable explanation. Maybe it was a coworker. Maybe she'd lied about the meeting because they went out for lunch. Maybe she didn't want me getting jealous over nothing. People lie for stupid reasons all the time. At least, that's what I kept telling myself. That evening, Lauren walked through the front door carrying takeout. "My meeting ran long," she sighed. "I figured neither of us would feel like cooking." I watched her set the bags on the counter. She looked completely normal. She kissed me, asked how Cooper was doing, complained about traffic. If I hadn't seen her downtown, I would have believed every word. Instead, I just nodded. "Did your meeting go okay?" She smiled. "Yeah, it was boring." That was the second lie. Not because I'd seen her with another man, because she didn't even hesitate. She lied as naturally as she breathed. That scared me more than anything. For the next week, I said nothing. I started paying attention instead. It was amazing how much you notice once you stop assuming everything is normal. Lauren had always left her phone face up on the kitchen counter. Now it never left her pocket. She'd started taking evening walks alone. She suddenly cared about going to the gym 3 nights a week. New workout clothes, new perfume, new hairstyle. Individually, none of it meant anything. Together, it painted a picture I didn't want to see. The following Friday, my friend Nate stopped by the house. He'd helped me with electrical work on one of my renovation projects. We'd been friends since high school. As we were loading tools into my truck, he looked toward the driveway. "Is Lauren still working over at Meridian?" "Yeah. Why?" He shrugged. "I thought I saw her Wednesday." I honked, but she ignored me. My stomach tightened. "Downtown?" "Yeah. She was with some guy." He laughed. "I figured it was a client." I forced a smile. "Probably." But inside, I knew exactly which Wednesday he meant. That night, I couldn't sleep. Around 2 in the morning, I got out of bed to get a glass of water. Lauren wasn't beside me. I found her sitting on the back patio, barefoot, wrapped in a blanket, looking at her phone. She didn't hear me open the sliding door. Then, her screen lit up. I wasn't close enough to read the message, but I saw her smile, not laugh, smile. The kind of smile people don't even realize they're making. A few seconds later, she typed a reply, then deleted it. Typed again, deleted it again. Finally, she hit send. Only then did she notice me. She locked her phone immediately. "You scared me. Couldn't sleep?" She nodded. "Too much on my mind," I almost asked. Instead, I said, "Come back to bed." She smiled. "I'll be there in a minute." I went back inside. She stayed outside another 15 minutes. The next Monday, something happened that completely changed how I looked at everything. I was cleaning out my truck when my phone rang. It was Lauren. Her voice sounded rushed. "Hey, I left my laptop at home. Can you bring it to the office?" "Sure. I've got meetings all morning. Just leave it with reception." "No problem." I grabbed her laptop from the dining room table and drove across town. When I reached the office, the receptionist looked confused. "Lauren?" "Yeah, I'm dropping off her laptop." The woman frowned. "She's not in today." I blinked. "What?" "She took a personal day." For a second, I honestly thought she had the wrong employee. My wife, Lauren Carter. The receptionist checked the computer again. "Nope, she's off today." I thanked her, walked back to my truck, and just sat there. If she wasn't at work, then where was she? I pulled out my phone. My thumb hovered over her contact. Call her? No. If she answered, she'd lie. If she didn't, I'd learn nothing. Then I remembered something. Her laptop. It was still sitting on the passenger seat beside me, and suddenly, for the first time in 8 years, I seriously considered opening it. I stared at Lauren's laptop for almost 5 minutes. I knew the password. She'd never changed it. Not that I knew of, anyway. I kept asking myself the same question. If I open it, am I crossing a line? Then another thought hit me. If my wife is lying to me, hasn't that line already been crossed? I opened the lid. The laptop unlocked instantly. My heart started pounding. I didn't know what I was looking for. Messages, emails, hotel reservations? Instead, I found nothing. Her inbox looked normal. Work emails, bills, Amazon orders, a calendar full of meetings. For a moment, I actually felt guilty. Maybe I really had become paranoid. Maybe I just invaded my wife's privacy for no reason. Then, I noticed something strange. Her calendar said she was in meetings all day, but according to the receptionist, she wasn't even working. That didn't make sense. I closed the laptop, drove home, and decided I wasn't going to snoop anymore. I was going to ask her directly. That evening, she got home around 6. She looked tired, dropped her purse by the door, kissed me on the cheek. "Long day?" I asked. "The longest." She laughed. I don't think I stopped working once. There it was again, another lie. I wanted to confront her. Instead, I asked something simple. "Who's Daniel?" She froze. It lasted maybe half a second. Most people would have missed it. I didn't. Then she smiled. "Daniel? Yeah. You mentioned him a couple weeks ago." "Oh, he's one of our new project leads. Nice guy." That answer came too fast, like she'd already practiced it. Over the next few days, I noticed the same name popping up, Daniel. One night, Lauren laughed at a text. I glanced over. The notification disappeared before I could read it. All I caught was Daniel M. Another day, she said, "Daniel keeps changing deadlines." Then, Daniel forgot to send the report. Somehow, Daniel was suddenly involved in every conversation, without me ever meeting him. Saturday morning, I decided to surprise Lauren at work. She'd told me she had another weekend meeting. I stopped at her favorite bakery, bought 2 coffees, 2 cinnamon rolls. I figured maybe we'd eat together. It had been a while since we'd done something spontaneous. When I reached her office, the parking lot was almost empty. I checked the time, 9:18. She said the meeting started at 9. I walked inside, the security guard looked up. "Can I help you?" "I'm looking for Lauren Carter." He frowned. "There aren't any meetings today." "What?" "The building's closed." I laughed awkwardly. "You sure?" He pointed toward the dark hallway. "Positive. Only maintenance is here." For a second, I couldn't move. The coffee suddenly felt heavy in my hands. I thanked him, walked back outside, sat in my truck, and stared at Lauren's location on Find My iPhone. We'd shared locations for years, mostly because one of us was always driving somewhere. Her phone wasn't at the office. It wasn't even close. It was 23 minutes away, at a small boutique hotel near the river. I immediately told myself there had to be another explanation. Maybe there was a conference there. Maybe the company rented meeting rooms. Maybe. I was getting tired of maybe. I started the truck. The drive felt endless. Every traffic light seemed to last forever. When I finally pulled into the parking lot, I parked across the street. The hotel wasn't fancy, maybe 30 rooms, quiet, the kind of place people used when they didn't want attention. I watched the front entrance. 5 minutes passed, then 10. I almost convinced myself to leave. Then the front doors opened. Lauren walked out. She was laughing. Not the polite laugh she used with clients, a real one. The man beside her held 2 coffee cups. He reached over and fixed a strand of hair that had blown across her face. She didn't pull away. She smiled. Then, without looking around, she kissed him. Not a quick peck, not a misunderstanding. A kiss, long enough that there wasn't a single innocent explanation left. I don't remember breathing. I don't remember hearing the traffic. I just remember staring through the windshield, hoping I'd somehow wake up. Then something happened that hurt even more. Lauren looked happier than I'd seen her in years. I don't remember driving home. At some point, I ended up sitting in my garage with the engine off. I stayed there for almost an hour, not crying, not yelling, just staring. People always imagine that catching someone cheating is explosive. It wasn't. It was quiet. The loudest sound in the world was my own thoughts. Lauren got home just after 6. She smiled as she walked through the door. Hey. I looked at her. For the first time in 8 years, she looked like a complete stranger. You okay? She asked. You seem tired. I almost laughed. She had just spent the afternoon kissing another man, and she was asking if I was okay. I'm fine. She nodded. Good. Then she walked upstairs to change, as if nothing had happened. That night, I couldn't sleep, not because I was angry, because my brain wouldn't stop replaying every memory from the last year. Every late meeting, every canceled date night, every work dinner, every Saturday in the office. How many of those had actually been with him? I didn't know, and somehow, not knowing hurt even more. The next morning, I called my business partner, Mike. He'd known Lauren almost as long as I had. I didn't tell him everything, just enough. I think she's cheating. There was silence. Then he quietly asked, "What makes you think that?" I saw her, with another guy. Another pause. Finally, he sighed. "Ethan, I wasn't sure if I should ever tell you this." My stomach dropped. "What?" "I've seen them before." Everything inside me stopped. "When?" "A few months ago." "What?" "I was grabbing lunch downtown. I saw Lauren sitting outside a cafe with some guy. I honestly thought it was a client, so I didn't think anything of it." My hands started shaking. "A few months?" "Yeah. I didn't even remember it until you called." I thanked him, hung up, and realized something terrifying. This hadn't started recently. It had been going on for a while. I just hadn't noticed. That afternoon, I made a decision. No more guessing, no more hoping. I wanted the truth, not part of it, all of it. The next day, Lauren left for work at 7:45, exactly like always. I waited 15 minutes, then I got in my truck. She wasn't hard to follow. She drove toward downtown, turned into the office parking garage. I almost felt stupid. Maybe I really had lost my mind. Maybe she actually was going to work. She parked, got out, walked into the building. I sat there for another 20 minutes, then I left. Halfway home, my phone buzzed. It was an unknown number. Normally, I would have ignored it. Something told me not to. "Hello?" A woman's voice answered. "Hi, you don't know me. My name is Melissa." There was something strange about her voice, like she'd rehearsed what she wanted to say 100 times. I think our partners are seeing each other." Every muscle in my body tightened. "I'm sorry." "What?" "My fiancé works with your wife." I didn't believe it at first, but yesterday, I followed him. I couldn't speak, she continued. "I saw them together, the hotel by Riverside." The exact hotel. She wasn't guessing, she'd been there. "I found your number through your renovation company's website. I know this sounds crazy, but I think we've both been lied to." Neither of us spoke for several seconds. Finally, I asked, "Who's your fiancé?" She answered with 2 words. "Daniel Morris." The same Daniel, the one Lauren casually mentioned almost every day, the project lead, the deadline guy, the man she'd built an entire fake story around. Melissa took a shaky breath. I don't know what to do. Neither did I. Then she asked something I never expected. "Would you meet me? I've got something I think you should see." I looked at the clock. It was 11:42 in the morning. Less than 4 hours earlier, I thought I was just a suspicious husband. Now, a complete stranger was telling me she'd spent weeks investigating the exact same affair. And somehow, I had the feeling the worst part of this story hadn't happened yet. I almost didn't go. Everything about the situation sounded insane. A stranger calls me out of nowhere, claims she's engaged to the same man my wife is seeing, and wants to meet. If this had happened to someone else, I would have told them it sounded like the beginning of a scam. But she knew too much: the hotel, the timeline, Daniel's full name. None of that was public. We agreed to meet at a coffee shop halfway across town. Public, busy, safe. When I walked in, I spotted her immediately. She looked exhausted, dark circles under her eyes, a laptop bag sitting beside her chair. She stood as I approached. Ethan, Melissa, we awkwardly shook hands. Neither of us knew where to start. Finally, she reached into her bag. I didn't call you because I wanted revenge. I called because I thought you deserved the truth. She slid a folder across the table. Inside were printed screenshots, hotel confirmations, restaurant receipts, photos. Not blurry pictures taken from bushes, normal photos. Lauren and Daniel walking together, laughing, holding hands. One picture showed them sitting outside a winery, almost 2 hours from our city. The date was 3 months earlier. I stared at it. That weekend, Lauren had told me she was attending a leadership conference. Melissa quietly spoke. Daniel told me it was a company retreat. I looked up. He used the same lie. She nodded. We've been comparing calendars. My stomach dropped. Every business trip matched. Every conference matched. Every overnight meeting matched. They hadn't just been sneaking around. They'd been planning it for months, maybe longer, minute. Melissa took a sip of coffee before speaking again. I confronted Daniel once. What happened? He convinced me I was imagining things. Then he proposed. I blinked. What? She slowly nodded. He proposed 4 months ago. I didn't know what to say. He was planning a wedding while seeing Lauren. She gave a small, bitter laugh. I guess your wife wasn't the only one living a double life. Neither of us spoke for a while. Finally, I asked the question that had been bothering me. How long do you think it's been going on? Melissa hesitated. I think almost a year. A year. Nearly half of our last year together. Vacations, anniversaries, family dinners, birthdays. Every happy memory suddenly felt fake. Then Melissa said something that completely changed everything. I don't think they're planning to stop. What do you mean? She reached into the folder again. This time, she handed me a printed email. I wasn't looking for it. It popped up on Daniel's iPad. I read the first line. Once everything is finalized, we won't have to keep lying anymore. My heart started racing. I kept reading. They weren't talking about ending the affair. They were talking about ending their relationships. Lauren wasn't planning to confess. She was planning to leave. There were messages about apartment viewings, furniture, vacation ideas, starting over together. Then I reached one sentence that made me stop cold. I just need Ethan to sign the refinancing papers first. I read it again, then a third time. Melissa watched my expression change. What is it? I looked up. 2 weeks ago, Lauren asked if we should refinance the house. She said interest rates were dropping. Melissa frowned. So, I felt sick. If I'd signed, she would have been entitled to half the equity after filing for divorce. Silence. Complete silence. This wasn't just an affair anymore. They had been planning their exit. Every conversation, every lie, every fake smile, even the refinancing. It had all been part of the same plan. For the first time since this nightmare started, I wasn't heartbroken. I was angry, not because she loved someone else, because every decision she'd made over the last year had been calculated. She wasn't waiting for the right time to tell me. She was waiting for the right financial outcome. I slowly closed the folder. Then I looked at Melissa. When's your wedding supposed to be? She swallowed. 3 weeks. I nodded once. Then I asked a question neither of us had considered until that moment. Do you think they have any idea we know? Melissa looked down at her untouched coffee, then back at me. I don't think they have the slightest clue. For the first time that day, an idea started forming in my head. I wasn't interested in revenge, but I also wasn't going to let them control how this story ended. If Lauren and Daniel had spent a year planning their perfect future, they were about to discover their secret wasn't a secret anymore. On the drive home, Melissa and I agreed on one thing. We weren't going to confront them. Not yet. If they really were planning to leave us, they'd already have stories prepared. Excuses, half-truths, more lies. Neither of us wanted another performance. We wanted the truth, the whole truth, without tipping them off. For the next week, life felt surreal. Every morning, Lauren kissed me goodbye. Every evening, she asked about my day. We ate dinner together, watched TV, talked about a vacation we'd supposedly be taking in the spring. She even spent an entire Sunday helping me plant flowers in the backyard. I couldn't stop thinking about one thing. How do you fake normal for an entire year? I honestly didn't know if I was more impressed or horrified. Melissa and I only texted when we had something important. Nothing emotional, just facts. Tuesday. Daniel said he had a client dinner. Lauren told me she was working late. At 9:14 p.m., Melissa sent me one picture, Daniel's truck, parked outside the same boutique hotel. Friday. Lauren said she was flying to Chicago for a conference. Melissa texted me at 8:02 a.m. Daniel just left with a suitcase. Neither of them went anywhere near the airport. Instead, they drove 2 hours north to a lakeside resort. Melissa had booked a room across the street, not to spy, to be absolutely certain. She sent me one photo. Lauren and Daniel walking hand in hand toward the lake. No hiding, no looking over their shoulders, like they were already a real couple. I stared at the picture for almost an hour. Then I deleted it. I didn't need to torture myself anymore. I already knew. 3 days later, Lauren came home carrying a small gift bag. I got you something. Inside was an expensive leather wallet. I looked at it, then at her. For what? She smiled. No reason. I just saw it and thought of you. That almost broke me, because for one stupid second, I wanted to believe her. I wanted to forget everything, pretend none of it was happening. Then I remembered. She'd bought me that wallet while spending the weekend with another man. The following Thursday, everything changed. Lauren walked into my office, carrying a stack of paperwork. Can you sign these? I looked down. Home refinance documents. Exactly what I'd seen in the email. She smiled. I finally found us a much better rate. We'd save almost $600 a month. I slowly flipped through the pages. She watched me carefully. What do you think? I looked up. I think I'd like to have my attorney look them over first. For the first time, I saw genuine panic. Only for a second. Then it disappeared. She laughed. Since when do you have an attorney? I shrugged. Since we're signing six-figure contracts. Makes sense, right? She forced a smile. Of course. She picked up the papers. We can do it another time. The moment she walked out of the room, I knew. She wasn't disappointed. She was worried. That night, Melissa called me. I've got bad news. What happened? I confronted Daniel. My heart sank. What? He proposed setting a wedding date tonight. I couldn't do it anymore. What did he say? He denied everything. Even with proof? He said Lauren was just a coworker. I sighed. Of course he did. Then Melissa added something unexpected. But I don't think he knows your wife saw my messages. What do you mean? When I confronted him, Lauren started blowing up his phone. Over 20 calls. I frowned. That's strange. So I answered one. I nearly dropped my phone. You what? I didn't say anything. I just listened. What happened? Melissa took a deep breath. Lauren wasn't asking if he was okay. She wasn't asking what happened. She only asked one question. I waited. Melissa's voice became almost a whisper. Did Ethan find out? The room suddenly felt cold. Not, are you okay? Not, what happened? Her first concern was me. Whether I discovered the affair. That meant one thing. They weren't just hiding it anymore. They were actively managing it, protecting it, planning around me. And somehow, I had the feeling their plan was about to fall apart. After that phone call, everything changed. Not because Lauren knew, because now I knew exactly how she thought. She wasn't afraid of losing me. She was afraid of losing her plan. That realization hurt more than the affair itself. Over the next few days, I stopped looking for more evidence. I had enough. What I needed now was to protect myself. The first thing I did was meet with a divorce attorney. I didn't tell Lauren, I didn't tell my parents, I didn't even tell my best friend. The attorney listened quietly while I explained everything. Then he asked me one question. Has your wife admitted to the affair? No. Do you have undeniable proof? I have photos, messages, emails. He nodded. Good. Then don't confront her yet. I frowned. Why? He leaned back. Because the second she knows you know, everything changes. What do you mean? Money moves. Accounts disappear. Stories change. People who lie this well don't suddenly become honest. That sentence stayed with me. People who lie this well don't suddenly become honest. For the next 2 weeks, I acted exactly the same. I laughed at her jokes. We watched movies. We went out to dinner. She even suggested we invite friends over for a barbecue. It felt insane. Every smile she gave me felt rehearsed. Every I love you felt like another performance. One Friday evening, she wrapped her arms around me while I was cooking dinner. You know, I've been thinking. About what? Maybe we should finally start trying for a baby. I froze for just a second, then forced a smile. Really? She nodded. I think we're ready. Later that night, I couldn't stop thinking about it. A baby. She wanted a baby. Or she wanted me to think she wanted one. Either possibility terrified me. 3 days later, Melissa called again. Her voice sounded different, calmer. I think they're meeting tonight. How do you know? Daniel told me he has a late client dinner. I looked across the living room. Lauren was putting on makeup. She told me she had to stay late to finish quarterly reports. Same story, different night. Melissa quietly said, I think this is our last chance. Last chance for what? To hear the truth. An hour later, we were sitting in separate cars across the street from the little wine bar they'd been using for months. Melissa was parked on one side. I was on the other. Neither of us spoke. At exactly 7:18, Lauren arrived. 5 minutes later, Daniel walked in. They hugged, not like coworkers, not like friends, like two people who'd missed each other. I watched them through the front window. They ordered wine, shared appetizers, laughed. Then, Daniel reached into his jacket pocket. My heart started racing. He placed a small velvet box on the table. Lauren looked shocked. She covered her mouth. He opened the box. It wasn't a ring, it was a key. Lauren started crying. Daniel smiled. Even through the glass, I could read his lips. Our place. She stood up, walked around the table, and kissed him. Long enough that half the restaurant looked over. Then she hugged him so tightly. I honestly wondered if she'd ever hugged me like that. Melissa texted me. Did you see the key? I replied, yes. A second later, another message appeared. I recorded everything. I should have left. Instead, I stayed. Because something inside me wanted to know how this story ended. About 20 minutes later, Lauren's phone rang. She looked at the screen. It was me. Only, I wasn't calling. I looked down at my own phone, still sitting in the cup holder. The call kept ringing. She declined it. Then immediately typed a message. A second later, my phone buzzed. Still at work, might be another hour. Love you, Forb. I stared at the message, then looked back through the restaurant window. She was literally looking at another man while texting me, love you. I don't know why, but that little red heart broke me more than anything else. Not the kiss, not the hotel, not the lies, the heart. Because it reminded me that every single lie she'd told had been wrapped inside something that used to mean everything to me. I locked my phone, started the engine, and drove away. I wasn't sad anymore. I wasn't even angry. For the first time in weeks, my mind felt completely clear. Tomorrow morning, Lauren was going to wake up thinking she was still in control. She had no idea that by the end of the day, her entire plan would collapse. I barely slept that night. Not because I was upset anymore, because I kept replaying one image in my head. The key. It wasn't just a key. It was proof they were already planning their future together, while I was still living in ours. The next morning, Lauren was humming while she got ready for work. She kissed Cooper on the head, grabbed her coffee, then walked over and kissed me. I'll probably be late tonight. I smiled. No problem. She left. The second her car disappeared around the corner, I picked up my phone. First call, my attorney. Second, Melissa. It's time. She didn't ask any questions. She simply replied, I'll meet you there. At 11 that morning, Lauren received divorce papers at her office. At exactly the same time, Daniel received a phone call from Melissa ending their engagement. Neither of them saw it coming. I know because Lauren called me 11 times in less than 20 minutes. I didn't answer. Then the texts started. What is this? Can we please talk? There's been a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding that almost made me laugh. An hour later, my phone rang again. This time, I answered. Ethan, she was crying. Please, just let me explain. I stayed quiet. She took that as permission to continue. It wasn't supposed to happen. It just happened. I finally spoke. No, it happened hundreds of times. Silence. You knew every single morning what you were doing. You made a choice every single day. She started crying harder. I never wanted to hurt you. I closed my eyes. You rented an apartment. You tried getting me to refinance the house. You lied to me for almost a year. At what point exactly were you trying not to hurt me? She had no answer. Instead, she whispered, "Who told you?" That question told me everything. Not, "How do you know?" Not, "Can we fix this?" She wanted to know which part of her plan had failed. I simply replied, "It doesn't matter." Then I hung up. Later that afternoon, Melissa called. It didn't go well. Daniel denied everything, even after I showed him the pictures. I wasn't surprised. Then what? He admitted it. What changed? I told him Lauren had already confessed. I actually laughed. She hadn't. I know. But he thought she had. For the first time in weeks, I smiled. They'd spent so long lying, they no longer trusted each other either. 3 days later, Lauren came back to the house while I was packing some boxes. She looked exhausted. No makeup, hair tied back, she'd lost weight. For a second, I almost didn't recognize her. She stood quietly in the doorway. "I just want to ask one thing." I kept folding clothes. "Okay, when did you stop loving me?" I looked up. "That's your question?" She nodded. I thought about it for a long moment. Then I answered honestly, "I never stopped. You did." She burst into tears. I made the biggest mistake of my life. I believed her. The strange thing was, believing her didn't change anything. "I hope you learned from it." She looked confused. "That's it?" I nodded. "What else is there to say?" She waited, probably expecting me to yell, to ask why, to call her names. Instead, I picked up another box. She quietly walked out the front door. That was the last time I ever saw her. The divorce took 6 months. It wasn't nearly as messy as everyone expected. My attorney had stopped the refinance, protected the house, separated the accounts before anything disappeared. In the end, Lauren walked away with far less than she'd planned. Not because I wanted revenge, because she'd built her future around a lie. And lies don't make very good foundations. Melissa and I stayed friends. Nothing more. People always ask that. No, we didn't end up together. We'd both spent enough time cleaning up someone else's betrayal. The last thing either of us wanted was another complicated relationship. About 8 months later, she called me. "You'll never believe this." "What?" "Daniel moved into that apartment, alone." I laughed. "What happened?" "Lauren left." "For who?" Melissa paused. "I don't know, but apparently she met someone at her new job." I just shook my head. The cycle hadn't stopped. It had simply found another victim. It's been almost 3 years now. Life is quieter, better. Cooper's getting older. Business is doing well. And for the first time in a long time, home actually feels peaceful. Sometimes people ask whether I regret not fighting harder for my marriage. I always give them the same answer. You can't compete with someone who's already decided to leave, and you shouldn't have to. The hardest lesson I learned wasn't that people cheat. It was that trust isn't usually destroyed by one big lie. It's destroyed by hundreds of small ones until one day, the truth finally has nowhere left to hide.